Welcome to the Canned Wine Podcast, Season 3, Episode 1. And this season, we are bringing you The World in a Can. Not the world in a full metal jacket, but you can get wine like that. We had quite a season last year taking you around the world in a can, but this year we're just bringing you the world to you in a can. And today's a very special episode. We have Catherine, our longtime listener and contributor. Are you there, Catherine?
I sure am.
And where are we tracking you down today?
I am in Regina, the Queen City in Saskatchewan, Canada.
Nice. And this episode will open up for you, but it took a little bit of logistics to get this all to happen, and we're really excited to have Catherine on the episode with us today. And as we do on the Canned Wine Podcast, we talk about the Wine Nerd Word of the Week, and this is more of a concept than a word. It's two words: old vines. Well, it doesn't mean they're decrepit and not producing, but old vines produce different tasting grapes. And wines that are made from grapes grown on old, mature vines have certain characteristics, and a lot of it has to do with the lower volume of moisture in the grapes, which it leads to a more intense flavor. And that's going to be critical this week because, Catherine, you also have the same can of the week, which is the...
It is, sure. It is the Janell Dusi 2021 Zinfandel brought to us by Maker.
Exactly. And this is a 250 ml can in a beautiful blue color, which we're told is the Dusi blue, which all of the old trucks on their winery are painted that color, and they actually have a picture of a little old truck on there, so it's pretty cool. And this is a Zinfandel. It's a varietal wine, so it must have, I think in America it's over 65% or 75% of the actual wine has to be Zinfandel, but this is 100% Zinfandel because at Dusi Wines, that's what they grow. And it's strong. This may be a record-setting wine for us at 16%, so it certainly has some chops to it. It comes straight out of J. Dusi Wines. Janell Dusi is the winemaker, and she comes from 4 generations of Dusis who've been growing Zinfandels on the hillsides there in Paso, Robles. They have great terroir there, and great old vines that they've used to come up with some really good grapes. Were you able to read up a bit on it there, Catherine?
Yeah, I was reading all about her very idyllic sounding childhood growing up on their farm, and some of their family history, and then how she moved from being a farmer into a winemaker.
Yeah, because
it sounds like it was not necessarily... I always think of vineyards as being the places where the grapes are grown and the wine is made, and I had not realized that they actually can be two completely separate endeavors.
Exactly. The wine industry is, we're literally looking at it through a can here, which is kind of myopic, but there are a lot of farmers that just grow grapes, and they're very good at growing grapes, but the actual making of the wine is a more complex process, one that J. Dusi, Janell, actually started when she was 13 years old. She made a few wines of her own and really got into it, and has taken off and embraced it. But their winery never made wine before, but the actual grapes were highly prized by other wineries, which you could look up if you want to look up J. Dusi Wines or Maker Wines. They have really great bios on this stuff, and they were highly prized Zinfandel grapes. So that to make the jump from that to actually making the wines takes a lot of skill, a lot of craft, and a lot of time, and probably a lot of money for all the equipment. They use a fairly traditional winemaking technique. There wasn't a lot of information on that. Usually we'll go into that, but I'm just assuming that it was probably, uh, you know, it looked like it might be stainless steel vats and that kind of stuff. So, and where did we get this wine? Which I'm pretty excited. As you know, we're coming back from our summer break, and have been, we've had a few wines, but we certainly haven't kept up the regime like we do during the season. So I'm excited about this, and I like Zinfandel. I know you had mentioned earlier that sometimes you had some bad experiences with it, but if it's properly made, I think it can be a very decent wine with a good combination of spice and jamminess. So I'm excited to open this up.
Yeah, me too.
Now, as I said, the origin of this one, it comes from Maker Wines. They went out and partnered up with Dusi Wines, who had been making some very fine bottled wines on a very limited scale. Some stuff that won, the Central California 92 point wine competitions. They got some real high scores. And Paso Robles is south of Monterey. It's more middle of California rather than the northern part, and in a valley that faces out to the ocean. So it gives it some very, very unique terroir that changes depending on which side of the valley, which side the hills are facing, and you can get some very unique grapes out of there. So if you're ready, Catherine, in Regina, I think we're going to do our first simultaneous opening, and we'll get busy here. Open this one up and see how they've done with it. Let me make sure. Oh no, a lot of technical issues here. You get out of practice over the summer, so I'm ready 2 and 3. Let's go. Well, that was a very nice pour. And it's a pretty dark wine.
It is really dark. I was just noticing that.
I would say it's ruby burgundy color. It does have some legs, which you'd expect with a 16% alcohol content. To be fully disclosing things, I did put mine in the fridge for about a half an hour because here in New York it's 80, 85, or what is that in Celsius? You're in Canada, so that's 26, 27, somewhere in that range. So it's a
Somewhere about that.
pretty warm day, and it's hard to maintain. It's pretty hard to maintain any kind of cellar temperature in our little apartment here. So it certainly has jammy overtones. It's not particularly smoky. Maybe they don't age it in oak, or if they do, maybe a French oak.
Yeah, I don't really smell the smokiness. I tend to go for those kind of Chardonnays and things that have got that oaky, smoky flavor and smell, and I'm not getting really any of that in this one.
It's very crisp, though. Well done. Yeah, there are some serious legs on this one. And
that's nice.
I'm thinking that, sometimes at the Canned Wine Podcast here, we don't necessarily drink it directly from the can. I always like to let the wine breathe a little bit, and I think this would be one that would appreciate even an aeration or something like that. I have one of those nifty little aerators that you can pour it through that really brings out some of the flavors, and I think that this would benefit from that. I'd say it's really spicy. I'm tasting a lot of spiciness to it. It's a little jammy, but not crazy, and
I think that's one of the things I've not liked about Zinfandels is the ones that are that really jammy
Yeah,
flavor. I like this one a lot. I agree. It's got more of that spicy notes, and it is jammy, but that's not like the overwhelming kind of flavor that hits you.
yeah, and you could. I don't know. What would you think to pair this with? She had said.
Well, yeah, she said pizza, polenta. I think she mentioned some spice rubbed ribs. I don't eat meat at all. I'm vegetarian, so I'm good with pizza or polenta. I think it's probably going to go with my dinner, which is going to be a black bean burger that has kind of a. Well, I was going to do a sort of a chili aioli, but I might keep rethink that. I'm not sure that will go super well with it.
This would go really well with black bean burgers. Any kind of spicy, you know, spicy complex stuff. Although you could serve it with a, Peniella vodka would be decent too. Going because he's, the Dusis are an Italian family, so they definitely make a wine that pairs well with Italian food. So.
For sure.
That's excellent.
I think kind of a simple pizza, like a margarita pizza or something, would be really nice with this too.
I
where
know.
This got kind of be the star of the show and not kind of overwhelmed by the flavor of the meal.
That would be good too. We have a local pizzeria that makes a goat cheese pizza that's quite, it's goat cheese and fig pizza that would complement this really well. So if I ever...
I'll just come over for dinner then. We'll have goat cheese and fig pizza.
well, maybe you can hunt one down in Regina. There may be one. This guy's a real artisan that makes... the dough is a sourdough from Italian flour, and he's up at the crack of dawn preparing them, and you have to order ahead. And when he's done, You're done. And if you're not on your game and respectful, you may get no pizza for you. So, but
that sounds amazing.
It's well worth it, and he sometimes does a wood-fired Wednesdays where he gets out the wood-fired one in the parking lot, and you can just sit out there. BYOB. Canned wine is an excellent, for BYOB. I found a couple of Thai places locally that allow you to do that too, and it's quite nice because you can have a glass of wine and you don't have to open a whole bottle. So, but I'm digressing.
BYOC.
Yeah, exactly. I wanted to give a shout out to Robert Glashoff. You just never know who you're going to run into. He's a rep for Craft New York and Blueprint Brands. I was doing a course in my car, and I was sitting with my foot on the brake and the headlights on, which you can't really do for 45 minutes. And when I went to finish the course and leave, my battery was dead. So as I was clicking and popping my hood and stumbling around like an idiot, this is of course 9 o'clock in the morning, which is not when you typically have problems with your car, but he'd pulled up and said, "Hey, do you need a boost?" So we got to talking, and he actually is a purveyor of artisanal beers, ciders, spirits, and soda with Craft New York. So he was wearing a shirt that said Craft on it. I said, "What is that, a cabinet maker company?" He said, No, we distribute craft beer." So I said, "Well, in a different life, I have this podcast, so I will give you a shout out, Robert. Thanks for saving my bacon, because I was 15 minutes from missing an appointment with a dead battery. So you never know." And he actually is a distributor for some of the non-alcohol brands that we've opened and talked about here, like Liars. So I didn't realize that till I was looking at his card today to give him the shout out, and I might have to give him another shout out. He did also indicate that there was a local place that has a truck food. It's called Juana Empanada. I've had their empanadas. They're decent. And they also sell, wait for it, canned wine. They sell a couple of well-known brands of canned wine. Archer Roos is the one that came to mind for him. So I said, they sell it at their store. He said, no, they sell it right off of the truck. So I was excited about that because prior to the Canned Wine podcast, we had a series on truck food on YouTube. So there's been talk from people from there that we should do a mashup. So I'm thinking we probably will. So thank you for joining us, Catherine. Just to give everybody a heads up, Catherine's volunteered. I volunteered her to help us on several other occasions, and she is wearing our special limited edition, one-off, prototype, canned wine podcast, Napa version cadet cap. Have you got it on there, Catherine?
I'm wearing it right now, yep.
If this was a video podcast, you'd see a I guess that's summer casual would be the description. Sand-colored, very hip cap with our logo on it. So thanks for supporting the brand. And our head scratcher today, we weren't there in Napa this year, but who knows, maybe next year. The International Canned Wine Competition completed. We're going to be featuring a lot of wines from them as part of our sponsorship with them, and they had said that the top two wines from this year were not from America. So we challenge you to check our tab where we'll tell you where these two top wines came from, and be on the lookout because we'll be opening cans from the international competition. All of the top cans, and talking about it over the next little while because we've got quite a box of this stuff to go through. So our head scratcher is what canned wine, actually not what canned wine, but what country did the top canned wine come from in this year's competition. So thanks again, Catherine, for joining us from the Queen City, Regina, Saskatchewan. Appreciate your taking your time out of a busy day, and it's a great hope you have a great weekend up there.
Yeah, you too. Invite me back anytime.
I will, and maybe next time when we're traveling in Canada, we'll hook up and we won't have to go through these elaborate. It's kind of like the Underground Railroad of wine, moving along from hand to hand. I brought it in my suitcase and it went to somebody else, and then this person, that person. But that's the way canned wine is. It travels really, really well, So in closing, thank you for tuning into the Canned Wine Podcast, where we open cans of wine and talk about it. Remember, as always, enjoy responsibly, and just because it comes in a can doesn't mean you can drink and drive. The Canned Wine Podcast is a Center Stage production, all rights reserved.